So last week, saw a social media post in which somebody shared a snapshot of a Schuyler County ballot. And of course, with early voting ongoing and mail-in ballots being sent out, it was interesting to see that in the U.S. Senate race, it had the wrong name listed for the Republican candidate. And joining us right now is the actual Republican nominee that should have been on that ballot but wasn't. Kathy Salvi joins us. Kathy, thanks for taking time with us this morning. I guess let's first kind of get your understanding of what happened in Schuyler County and what's being done to rectify that situation.
Great, Greg. Great to be on your show. And I'll remind and ask all your voters, Kathy Salvi for U.S. Senate. Duckworth versus Salvi, go Salvi all the way. I'll ask for each of your listeners' votes. This is outrageous. I am the certified candidate for the United States Senate, and my name was left off the ballot.
Information, but I was tying them.
There's about 5,500 voters at stake. This is unheard of. It's unprecedented. And Schuyler County Clerk said they'll fix the problem. Well, here's what I learned. I learned that it's a Democrat partisan clerk in an 80% Republican voting county. Heck, these 5,500 votes could make the difference. Now, to be fair, several hundred absentee ballots have gone out, and a number have come back, and the clerk says, well, we'll sequester those. But a lot of people have early voted. What are we going to do with those votes? This isn't just like robbing the bank. It's like taking the entire bank in what will be a very close election. So I'll tell you, it's a little demoralizing, but I think we're going to just kick back and kick some dust up and say, if anything is going to encourage us to work harder, work longer, and get people out to vote, Republican, independent, and open-minded Democrat, this is the incident. Unheard of.
Kathy, so ultimately, if those 45 votes that were early cast, if they wanted to vote for a Republican, they didn't have you as that choice. If they still want to vote for Republican, are their votes for U.S. Senate just essentially going to be scrapped?
Well, here, first of all, the State Board of Elections is kicking the can. We told them, we certified Kathy Salvi as the nominee. Well, the one job of the clerk is to get the names on the ballot correctly, and there's a process for this. You know, it's not only that you take the certified candidates, but you also double, triple check the ballots. My name is the top race at the ballot. For this to have happened, you know, I've always believed the saying, normally I do not ascribe to malice what can be ascribed to incompetence. But it's hard to see that this couldn't have been intentional. An 80% Republican voting county with Kathy Salvi's name absent, not even on the ballot. Are you serious? It's never happened before.
Again, we're talking with the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, Kathy Salvi. What's the next steps here? I've been told that they'll process those 45 ballots that have already been cast, but they're not going to count the U.S. Senate race if it's for Peggy Hubbard. But you've also got all those mail-in ballots. What's your campaign doing to ensure that this is all cleared up?
Well, we've been investigating it since the moment we learned. And we're unpeeling the onion. And you mentioned the 45 ballots cast. Those are the ones I understand that were returned from the absentee. But a lot of people have early voted in the county. So we heard numbers like over 300 votes cast, over 100 votes cast. It changes by the day. So we're digging into it. And I can tell you the 45 votes that we learned about, they all came from a single address. No, put your head around that one for a minute. So,
oh wow! So there's a lot more to delve into with this, and I do have some FOIA requests for communications back and forth from Schuyler County to the State Board of Elections, because the State Board of Elections says they certified the statewide ballot. They sent that out, and it was correct on their end. But the Schuyler County clerk telling me that she dropped the ball. It's her fault. It's human error. There's no ill will there. So we'll have to unpack this more, because this type of thing should not have happened, and it really does raise questions about voter integrity and the integrity of the election in different counties. Kathy Salvi with us again, the Republican U.S. Senate candidate. What do you think are going to be some of the major issues that voters are heading to the polls to vote for?
This election will be a referendum on the failed leadership of Joe Biden. And Tammy Duckworth votes nearly 100% of the time with that failed agenda. This Congress, under Democrat lock fist control, is not a check and balance on the president. The president signs into law by executive order at his Oval Office desk. And what do we hear from Duckworth? Crickets. Illinois deserves more. And I tell you, I will be the hardest working U.S. Senator we send to Washington, D.C. I'll ask the right questions, and let's get a little common sense out there. But even Mary Ann Ahern, a veteran Chicago news reporter, was asked on a panel, what's Tammy Duckworth done in 6 years? And she said, I can't think of one thing. Precisely. Many people around the state have said they've seen her more in commercials and more in 2 months than they've seen her in 6 years. And that's because she's been an absentee rubber stamp vote for the far left progressive agenda. And that's not Illinois. And I'm a fifth generation Illinoisan. I love this state. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a grandma. I'm a business owner over 3 decades. I'm an attorney by practice. I'll tell you, I think we need to put a check on the single party rule that we got in Washington and in Springfield. And I plan to be that choice for the voters of Illinois. And I'm excited. You know, people in Illinois are energized wherever I go. And I'm taking my message out to all of your listening audience. And just don't plan to vote, but get everybody in your neighborhood, in your family out there. Remember, Kathy Salvi for U.S. Senate. And let's make some needed change. Welcome change here in Illinois.
If people want more information about your platform and what your policy positions are, where can they find that online?
Yes. Vote Salvi if you're caring about the economy, crime, or parents and education. And you could go to Kathy Salvi, that's KathySalv, as in victory, I at .com, KathySalvi.com, and learn more about me. Thank you so much, Greg. Great to be on your show today.
Absolutely, and I imagine we'll likely talk again in the next few weeks because it's just over 3 weeks before Election Day. Kathy Salvi, the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Greg, and keep up the great work.
It is Springfield's Morning News, now 7:32, and let's check in with the newsroom.
I'm Sarah Smers.